Hi, scholars, and welcome to Week 5, Module 5, where we'll discuss torts and consumer protection. The big focus here is business torts, how to protect your business, how to protect yourself, how to protect yourself from other people getting hurt in your business, how to protect yourself from being negligent in your business, excuse me. The basic range of laws that are covered under torts are commonly misconduct, including personal injuries, negligence, and malpractice. And one of the most common ones is medical malpractice. You hear a lot of that about the news, medical malpractice that happens. We don't hear much about malpractice with other professions within, say, the legal profession where a lawyer misrepresents somebody. So with that said, uh, looking at a few common business torts would include wrongful interference. That's the defendant intentionally wrongfully interferes with the legitimate business interest of another. Claims falling within this category would include wrongful interference with contracts or tortious interference, interference with the prospective business opportunities, interfering with the right to earn a living. If you're getting in someone's way, you make complaints to somebody about their business that are not legitimate, you could fall under this wrongful interference because the business may rely on a lot of social feedback and you're just being vindictive or negligent in your claims based on an emotional response to how a business may or may not have handled a situation with yourself. I know it's pretty broad, but think about it when you go out there and do your searches on the on torts for businesses. Unfair competition is very similar to trademarks and copyright infringements that we'll cover in Week 8, where the defendant markets a product that is confusingly similar to the plaintiff's. These types of claims may also involve some form of false advertising. I think it's Nike and Adidas had a similar fallout several years ago. It had a similar logo that they went out and fought it in court. Also, Apple and Samsung. Samsung had a similar shape and size of the phone, which Apple and Samsung went to court to battle that one out because the infringement of that, because it looked so similar to an iPhone that it's like, well, it could be exactly what the Apple intended to design, and maybe Samsung copied it. But when you may run across that one, it may be a topic of interest to yourself. Disparagement occurs when a party makes a false statement regarding the quality of goods or products, causing loss of business to the plaintiff. Many different types of claims improve disparagement, such as slander of title and trade libel. False and fake negative reviews of products may also constitute disparagement. And this is big nowadays since we have a lot of social media and people, doing product reviews on their own or have their own comments about a product, which may or may not be true. And a company could come after you for that. If they fail that division that they have set up for product A and you're out there just bashing it, saying it's garbage and it absolutely doesn't work, when you're being totally false in your statements, you're not being honest, well, they can come after you. And vice versa, if another company's bashing another company, B2B, they can go after each other for false advertisement. So when you look at the torts cases, consider that one as well. The computer torts, that's a new one that's been coming out, about past 3 decades as computers have been taking over our lives. More and more jurisdictions are recognizing damage to computers as a business tort. For example, intentional damage to hardware or software of a computer may be considered a business tort if negatively affects a business ability to secure profits. Negligent use of a computer may also be considered tort in some jurisdictions. So you're at work, you're an unhappy employee, and you're going to leave the job or you're terminated, and you decide, I'll get my revenge. I'll delete all these files or put a virus on there and set yourself up for computer torts because you sabotage them. They come back to you and say, yep, employee A, we fired him, and they were disgruntled and they destroyed or put a bug in a virus into the computer which destroys such program. And also vice versa, business to business too. So business A is after business B in competition. They decide to get a hacker in there and get into their system and find out what their corporate secrets are. Yeah, that can also happen too. We've seen over the past couple of decades, many viruses have been out there, came in and destroyed people's hard drives and all the information there, as well as companies' computers. So that's another one too to look at if you're really into that side of the understanding torts. So what are the remedies for torts? Business usually involves some of monetary damages awarded to the plaintiff. Always comes down to money, doesn't it? So the defendant will have to reimburse the plaintiff for any loss or tortious conduct that caused. For example, somebody walks into your store. It's a rainy day or a snowy day. You don't have mats at the entrance. You don't have anything on the floor. It's just tile floor, and a customer comes in, slips and falls, and possibly hurts themselves or breaks their hip. Depending on their age. They can hold you liable because of your negligence. You neglected to put any signs up, mats down, say the floor is slippery, or the mats aren't down to avoid them from slipping because you were negligent, knowing the weather's bad outside. It's going to cause the floor to be slippery. Yes, common sense should kick in to anybody walking the store that the floor is slippery, but you as a business owner are responsible for providing a protected, safe environment for all the customers. So that's something to look at too when you're considering your torts. So to resolve that, you go to court, or you can settle it right there on the scene. Say, sorry, send me the medical bill. I'll take care of it. Here's some coupons. Here's a free product. There's always out of it to settle it, but that plaintiff may not be too happy with it and decide to go to court. That's their right because you provided negligent environment. They got hurt. Then you can settle in court, or of course go to ADR. One aspect of all torts damages must be calculated with a reasonable certainty. That means that the plaintiff must be able to translate economic loss into specific figure numbers. Okay, I was off 2 days of work. I made $20 an hour. That's 816. That's a couple $100 by day of loss. I had to pay medical damages. So on and so forth. You have to justify the cost. And that's, and in some cases in the past, we've seen that really doesn't make a lot of sense because how does somebody get rewarded millions of dollars when they're not even making millions of dollars? So, it's just or unjust in the system. So that's something to consider too. The big case, the McDonald's case here in Albuquerque that happened a couple of decades ago where Mrs. Liebeck spilled coffee in her lap. She had second-degree burns. A lot of the rumors were that the car was moving. She was driving. She wasn't driving. Her nephew was driving. They stopped. She had a cup between her legs. She's putting sugar and creamer in the coffee, and I guess it popped. It spilled on her, caused her second-degree burns. Yes, common sense comes in. You shouldn't be putting coffee between your legs and putting stuff in it. But in this case, McDonald's had previous experience with hot coffee being spilled and people complaining and they're not settling the case. And this one really broke open McDonald's negligence. And at the time, I think the industry standard for temperature for coffee was about 190 degrees. I mean, think about that's pretty hot coffee. I like my coffee hot, but that's a little over the top. So now I think they knocked it down to between 170 and 180. It's got to stay hot because people like myself like coffee hot in the morning. And the worst thing to do is drive to McDonald's, get a cup of coffee, like what you're expecting hot. So think about that. So if you need a lawyer for assistance in tort cases, that's always up to the business if you can afford it. If it's reasonable, try to settle out of court as much as possible. But it depends on the degree of injury. That person falls into your business and breaks a hip and you're 80 years old. That's kind of sketchy there, and you're going to be liable for that. They're 20 years old, they fall and slip, they hurt their bum. Here's some coupon. Maybe we'll talk your way out, negotiate your way out of it. So that is torts in a nutshell. Enjoy this topic. It's very broad, very diverse area of law that is not commonly known, I would say, because not too many people know what a tort are. So let's jump over to the assignment. So assignment number one is a paper about a tort, so I want you to identify and clearly define the relevant law. You have to either legal doctrine, provisions, acts, etc. What is the law we're talking about? Just don't jump into a case, start talking about it. A lot of people get emotional about the case. Again, here, I want you to kind of separate the emotions from the facts and put your feelings aside. Be objective, look at both sides of the case, look at all sides of the case, take everything into consideration, and then, compare and contrast to the applicable law. Apply the facts and situation. Do the results suggest a tort reform? Tort reform is a big topic, but it's not as publicly known as people would like or think it is, but it's out there. Tort reform, medical field, should the state pay millions of dollars because a doctor made a mistake or was being negligent, or should they be limited to a couple $100,000 or several $100,000 in cases, because these tort cases could bankrupt a business, could bankrupt a state because they fork out millions and millions of dollars. So think about that. Does the case you're looking at suggest a need for tort reform? And if not, why not? Why or why not? And if you think it does, why? Come on, give some substantive answers and argument on that case. And then clearly summarize lessons learned from the week, how they apply to the facts, to make the links to read the module. What have you read and watched on the videos that clearly fit into the tort cases? We talked about ADRs. You can plug that into as well. And finally, in your conclusion, give your thoughts on the case. Was it fairly justified? Was it a good conclusion that was come to, and stuff like that. And the same with the medical malpractice in choice number 2. If you have a medical practice experience that you can discuss, fine, that's good. If not, find one online. And the same thing there. Discuss, who, what, where, when, and why. What's the legal ramifications? What's both sides of the story? And is tort reform justified or not? And if you have any questions on that, please do ask. And there's one final assignment in week 5 that is on the bottom under portfolio milestone. And here you're going to submit a proposal. I don't expect a 20-page proposal. A good solid paragraph or two about what your tentative policy suggestions or for either recommended to a female CEO of a company on internet policy for her company. Again, in this case, you are a consultant. You're not telling the company how to do it. You're recommending to the CEO what is involved in developing a sound, secure internet policy for employees. So you're going to cover every topic we talk about, from torts to employee law, etc. If you have any questions, please ask, and I'll put templates out on the updates that I expect you all to use with the headers, the greeting headers, and subheaders from there. The second suggestion policy, you're going to make a policy change to the government official, about changing a policy, something like Sarbanes-Oxley. And that you're going to do, you got to do your research on that one. That's a pretty in-depth one too. I think it'd be pretty intense. So again, review the week 8 and then come back in week 5 and make your proposal, and 4 references should be in there. Again, any questions, please contact me via email, and have a great day.